My name is Brenda Lear. Home for me is Ojai. It's a little town nestled at the base of the Los Padres Mountains, so very close to wilderness and about 10 miles from the ocean, so best of both worlds for me. So my journey to yoga started, oh, this is good. It started, I had finished my undergrad, finished my graduate work, and was out in the world working for a bit and just needed time to recalibrate, kind of renew, figure out what direction I wanted to go in. And my parents were gracious enough to open the door and let me come back and live in just north of Philadelphia for a little bit. And while I was there, I was working as a personal trainer, teaching some classes, teaching fitness classes, just to make some money while I figured out, okay, what do I want to do? And at the time I was training my mom, and we were walking in to do a circuit training class, and she peeked her head around the corner and saw a yoga class and then looked back at me and said, "Have you ever done that?" And I go, no, but if you want to do it, I'll do it. So the next day we jumped into a yoga class, and I wouldn't say I was hooked right away, but I kept going back. Mom wanted to keep going back. I kept going back, and I had the pleasure in a gym having the teacher Beryl Heron, who I believe is now in Santa Monica working with Sienna Sherman, I believe. And I just remember her very sweet nature, really soft vinyasa, and just bringing philosophy and meaning to the practice. And she dropped many seeds along the way. So through the years, kind of dabbled in the practice here or there. And I'd say probably about 2006, I got more interested, more excited, wanted to dive in. And I don't even know how it came about, but I took my first teacher training with Jeffrey Williams in Kundalini Yoga. So Kundalini Yoga never being my first practice, I am so thankful that was my first teacher training and that Jeffrey was my teacher. He taught me so much about the subtle body, about listening to myself intuitively, and just really connecting with my students. So I am forever grateful for that. And then it just kept rolling. I dove in and did a couple teacher trainings with Nicki, Doane, and Modestini, who I adore completely. They have laid the foundation for me, and I yearn to go back and study with them. And have had the pleasure of doing lots of long workshops with many teachers, from Anna Forrest to Shiva Ray to a number. But I feel like it's all added in to give me my flavor of what I offer. So I am forever grateful, and am very still interested in being a student first and diving in and finding people to study with. When moving to Ojai, I was living in Sonoma County, and my husband had moved first to come down to start his job. And it was probably about 3 months later that I had come down. We finished packing up the house, come down all excited, start fresh. And somewhere in that transition, in the first couple weeks of being here, I don't really know what happened, but I had severely hurt my neck and had 2 bulging discs to the point where I couldn't even turn without being in excruciating pain. So one, being so humbled by, wow, people that live in pain every day, because I have moved on from that, but having that compassion and that empathy for folks that are in that place. So going back to that place and remembering how difficult it was even to get out of bed, to move, to turn, to have conversation, to drive anywhere. Oh, that was awful. I committed to working with my chiropractor. I committed to PT. I had all the tests done, MRIs and so forth, to make sure there were no tears, that I could carefully still continue to work with both a physical therapist and a chiropractor in returning back to my health, as well as returning back to my practice and really taking a lot of steps back in the physical asanas and really checking in to the deeper layers, like peeling back that physical layer, getting deeper into the breath layer, the emotional layer, the intellectual layer a little bit more. And so it was a slow journey. It took me a number of months, I would say really over 2 years, to get back to where I fully feel like I can play. I am someone who thrives on playing, on climbing, on surfing, and it brings me joy. But at that time, the thought of getting in the water was terrifying. and then so to now. And so it really helps me be able to relate to my students when they come in and they have something that is happening in their life, emotionally, physically, that we can gear a group class to them individually. So as a yogini, I know my practice is working when, I feel like I could say this could be a book. My practice is working when I can keep my act together in a business meeting. I would say when I know my practice is working when my mind is clear, or that when I can recognize that I start to get those fluctuations, when the vrittis start to happen, that I can come to my practice and to quiet down. So I feel very blessed that I have my own little office at work, that when I do feel myself get agitated, I can close the door, I can sit, I can get upside down, I can change and shift my energy. So in knowing if my practice is working, it's really being able to observe, being able to bring in the part of the practice, the swadhyaya, the observation and study of oneself.